Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking on, well, a pretty monumental journey into the question of reality itself.
You could say that.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? What is its fundamental nature? And maybe more importantly for our actual lives, how much control do we really have over the reality we experience?
Mm.
And the source material for this is it's a powerful stack.
Mm.
It pulls together findings from, theoretical physics, neuroscience, these incredible experiential accounts like NDEs.
And a very detailed cognitive architecture framework they call the NAS-centric universe.
Exactly.
Right. And our mission today is really to move you past that common dead end of materialism, this idea that the physical world is, the only thing that's real.
Or be all and end all.
Yeah, we're going to introduce a framework where the brain is just an interface, an apparatus, and consciousness is actually the fundamental core.
So by the end of this conversation, the goal is for you to see yourself not as just some passive recipient of random chance.
But as the active, intentional governor of your own cognitive reality.
And to do that, we have to start with where the current scientific model, well, it just hits a brick wall.
It really does.
We're going to reveal why scientists can basically only account for, 5% of the cosmos? And here's the real hook.
I like this part.
The idea that your deepest fears, your biases, those internal struggles, they aren't flaws to be fixed or medicated. They're actually sophisticated internal tools, and they're engineered for the specific purpose of your development.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Let's do it. So, starting with the failure of what the sources call rational thinking.
Yeah, we have to begin there with this foundational critique of what they call RT, or rational thinking. And this isn't, an attack on logic.
No, not at all.
It's an architectural observation. In this framework, RT, the system we use for, say, academic learning, deduction, that purely materialist logic, is defined as a flawed subordinate system.
So it's a tool, but it's not the master.
Precisely. It's a tool. It's not supposed to be in the driver's seat.
So what happens if we make that mistake and we elevate it? We put that tool in charge.
The sources are pretty blunt about it. When you treat RT, or academic knowledge, or physicalist dogma as the ultimate unquestionable authority, it creates what they call a catastrophic shirk.
A catastrophic shirk, what does that mean?
Think of it like a kernel-level corruption in your operating system. Because RT is limited to the physical world, relying on it alone means you are functionally denying the existence of everything you can't measure with physical instruments.
And you can actually see this breakdown reflected in the hard science, in the data itself.
Exactly. The data encapsulates our ignorance. I mean, we talk about these massive scientific gaps. We only understand the visible, measurable world.
Which is about 5% of the universe.
Just 5%. The sources point out that somewhere between 85 to 95% of the universe is still completely unexplained. We just give it these polite labels, dark matter, dark energy.
It's a placeholder.
It's the universe basically shouting at us, hey, your current tools, your RT, it's insufficient to grasp what's really going on.
It's just astonishing when you think about it, that 95% of reality is literally the we don't know column, and yet our whole society, our sense of meaning, is built around the 5% we can weigh.
And this gap isn't even new. When quantum mechanics was being pioneered a century ago, guys like Heisenberg and Schrödinger were deeply interested in the metaphysical side of it.
Right. The implications, these observer effect, consciousness.
All of it. But then subsequent generations of scientists sort of adopted this much narrower, more practical stance, which you can sum up with the mantra, shut up and calculate.
Just do the math.
Right, just do the math. And they dismissed the philosophical questions, which has led us directly to this well-known, critical, and still unresolved problem. Quantum theory has no theory of the observer.
Wait, okay, so if the observer is the central piece that collapses the wave function into reality, and we just tell the observer to shut up, aren't we basically guaranteeing a massive crisis of meaning?
Absolutely. That is the crux of the issue. If you ignore the conscious part and you stick to a purely physicalist worldview, the narrative that comes out is inevitably nihilistic.
Right.
The script becomes, you're just random atoms, everything is chance, your struggles mean nothing, and then you die.
That's a bleak picture.
It's a system designed to fail. It leads directly to that collective crisis of meaning we see everywhere today. People feel small, overwhelmed, purposeless. The only way out is to recognize the governor isn't physical.
Okay, and this is where we pivot. because this is where the source material gets really interesting. Let's look at the evidence that suggests reality is actually structured by design.
That it's anything but random.
Anything but random.
So we move into this paradigm of analytic idealism or cosmopsychism. The core concept is that the universe operates by design. It's evolving toward higher states of complexity, of awareness. Some would even say divinity.
And the key reversal here.
The key is understanding that matter is not what creates your inner experience. Instead, matter is defined as the outer appearance of inner experience.
Whoa. That is a staggering shift. So the material world isn't the fundamental truth. It's the output. It's the screen, not the projector.
Exactly. And this completely recontextualizes the function of the brain. Instead of creating consciousness, the evidence from these experiential accounts.
NDEs, transcendental states.
Right. That evidence suggests the brain is acting primarily as a filter, or you could say a reducing valve.
A filter for what, though?
Think of it like a highly specialized radio receiver. It's tuned only to the channel you need for immediate physical survival, finding food, avoiding a predator, navigating your house. It's downregulating this vast ocean of information and consciousness that isn't immediately relevant for day-to-day operations.
Okay, so if the brain is just a tuner, that gives massive validation to the universality of these NDE accounts, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, the profound consistency you see across thousands of these accounts, it doesn't matter what culture, what belief system, what part of the world. It's highly compelling.
What are some of those commonalities?
People report leaving their body, perceiving a hyper-real higher dimension, and this is critical, having these panoramic holographic life reviews.
Right, I've heard about this.
And they don't just remember their actions, they experience the emotional and cognitive impact of their actions from the other person's point of view.
So they feel the pain they caused, the joy they provided.
Exactly. And this experience of unconditional love and this kind of holistic perspective, it fundamentally argues against the physical body being the limit of our existence.
So if the brain is screening most of this information out, then maybe what we call psychic abilities are just momentary glitches in the filter or expansions of it.
That's it. It moves these phenomena out of the realm of, esoterica.
And into a recognized function of consciousness.
Precisely. This framework, for instance, explicitly validates telepathy, not as some paranormal power, but as a recognized governance function of the NAFs, our core cognitive essence. When that filter relaxes, the channel opens.
And intuition then becomes something stored system-wide. It's not just gray matter.
That's right. Intuition is defined in these texts as hidden wisdom, insight that's stored not just in the cranial neurons, but throughout the body's entire nervous system, the fascia, the gut neurons.
Which is why we have a literal physiological gut instinct.
A gut instinct, and there's a direct application here. Creativity is suggested as a really powerful way to access that.
How so?
Engaging in a creative practice is a way of bypassing the default lock of rational thinking and directly tapping into that aligned intuition, which, they say, leads to improved mental well-being.
Okay, so we've established the brain is a filtered interface. Consciousness is the operator. The big learner question then is, what is the structure of this non-material operating system? What are the parts we're meant to be governing?
Right. So now we can turn to the structural map of what they call the NAF-centric universe, or NCU.
The NCU.
This system very clearly defines the components to resolve that old mind-body problem. The physical brain is the apparition.
The apparition, like a display screen.
A temporary sensory interface. And the mind, or core consciousness, is the NAFs, the cognitive essence, the operator. The NAFs uses the apparition to interact with the environment.
I like the architectural language. But let's dive into maybe the most challenging concept here, the internal adversaries. The sources call them Iblis and Shaitan. If they aren't, external demons, what are they in this cognitive model?
This is a really crucial reframing. They are sophisticated internal governance tools. They are not outside influences.
Sure.
Iblis is defined as our internal biases, our cognitive predilections, our faulty, repetitive, rational thinking logic. Iblis is the primary source of destructive worry.
That endless looping anxiety that paralyzes you.
That's the one.
So what about Shaitan? How is that different from Iblis, the worry generator?
Shaitan is the deeper disposition. It's the habitual tendency, the default setting that actively blocks divine guidance or aligned action. It gets stronger every time we accept the faulty RT logic from Iblis as the ultimate truth.
Can you give an example?
Sure, so Iblis might make you worry endlessly about an upcoming presentation. That's the faulty RT logic. Shaitan is the disposition that then says, because this worry is so intense, I must avoid the work and distract myself with social media. And in doing so, it blocks the guided path, which was preparation.
Ah, okay. That makes the internal struggle so much more meaningful.
Hmm.
It means self-doubt and anxiety and confusion. They're not punishment.
They're the training environment.
The entire training environment.
Exactly. They were the mechanism of cognitive growth. The sources call this process the polishing of the nafs, which starts as an uncut diamond.
I love that analogy.
Challenges, stress, what we perceive as suffering, they aren't random accidents. They are targeted stress tests administered by the governance system to maximize our cognitive development,
So the whole universe is a linguistic training ground.
designed to refine our internal cognitive model.
And the goal isn't just to be happy, but to evolve the nafs.
Precisely. The purpose is developmental alignment. Moving the nafs from its starting point, the raw potential of the nafs of infant, through various stages until it achieves the state of the nafs of Abrar, the insight holder.
You're meant to master governance, not just cope with circumstance.
That's it.
Which brings us to the ultimate practical question. If we are governors and we have this cognitive map, what's the single most actionable hack we can use to apply this in our daily lives?
The key is calibrating the locus coeruleus, the LC.
The locus coeruleus.
It's this tiny bluish nucleus deep in your brainstem that releases norepinephrine. In this framework, the LC is way more than just a neurotransmitter hub. It is your personal reality highlighter.
Highlighting console.
Your highlighting console, yeah.
Let's use the analogy here, because this is the mechanism everyone needs to grasp.
Yeah.
The Toyota Tundra effect.
Right, we've all had this happen. You decide you want to buy a specific car, let's say a white Toyota Tundra. Before that moment, you never see them.
Never.
The moment you decide and you start researching, suddenly white Toyota Tundras are everywhere. They're on every street.
It's not that more trucks materialize.
Of course not. Your LC received a command. This object is now critically important. So the LC ensures that your focus doesn't just find reality, it actively governs which specific aspects of reality become visible and relevant to you, the operator.
So the real action isn't passive hope. It's not creative visualization where I just sit and wait for things to appear. The action is console calibration. I'm issuing a command to my brain's hardware.
That is the governing command. The NAFS issues a clear, intentional command to the LC. Let's use development as an example. If your goal command is to develop patience and challenges,
Okay.
the LC programming then accelerates that by highlighting and prioritizing more challenging situations. Arguments, frustrating delays at the airport, you name it. That's the reality response, and it speeds up your patience acquisition.
So you are asking the universe for the stress test needed for your own development.
For development acceleration, yes.
This reframing completely changes how we view healing, too, and what we often call miracles. It's not a wish, it's a governed command.
Take the example of visualizing healing a severe injury, like a shattered spine. The sources describe this not as passive wishing, but as the NAFs issuing a precise, non-negotiable governance command.
A command called Izam.
Izam. And this command is maintained by refusing to let Ibanables, the fear, the doubt, interrupt the template. You are submitting that perfected, healed template to the governor for an apparition update.
So the healing is earned. It's earned through disciplined cognitive protocol.
And that moves the process from being an unpredictable miracle to a predictable governed event.
That's profound. It means we can apply this to modern mental health challenges, moving away from this feeling of having a break-in brain.
Absolutely. We move from therapy based on physical brokenness to governance refinement.
Right.
So a condition like emotionally unstable personality disorder, or EUPD, can be reframed not as a disorder, but as a governance misalignment.
So instead of dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, you're doing diamond polishing therapy, DBT.
Exactly. And something like persistent ADHD or severe anxiety can be seen as protocols of command instability. The NAP's instructions to the LC are flickering, they're unaligned, they're contradictory, and that creates chaos in the apparition in your experience.
So the solution is stabilization and disciplined protocol alignment.
That's the work.
Wow. Okay, so we've traveled all the way from the limits of physics to a concrete cognitive architecture where our own fears are just polishing tools and our brain is a high-tech screen waiting for specific input. The core insight, the real takeaway here seems to be that your focused intention is your governance command.
The final truth is this. Your reality is not hard. It's not immutable. It is an apparition, a display, and it's waiting for a governed command.
And the mistake we all make.
The common human error is asking the apparition, the physical world, to change first. The solution is always to submit the perfected template to the governor by aligning your cognitive essence, the nafs.
So, a final thought for you to take away. If you truly internalize that your focused intention governs what becomes visible and accessible to you, what specific positive governance command will you install in your Locus Coeruleus console before the day is over?